All right, welcome to the Krug Show, brought to you today by Mojo Fantasy. Mojo Fantasy is the newest and best daily fantasy app. You get a full selection of real sportsbook player props with live odds, including props that you won't find anywhere else. You can hide your picks, cash out, or make new picks all game long. And the best part, you don't have to get all your picks right to win. Try a free contest and win real cash prizes up to 25 times. Make picks, make moves, make money. Use the link in the description and use the promo code KRUG, KRUEG, to get your first deposit matched up to $100. All right, let's talk a little 49ers. A lot of talk about the 49ers and needing more edge rush. And this is not something that is in any way is a surprise to me. I've been talking about this all off season. Nick Bosa is a superstar. Drake Jackson is an up and comer. And that's where it ends for the Niners as far as edge rush of any note. Cleveland Farrell doesn't have a lot of speed. Kerry Hyder is a great presence in the locker room and a veteran voice, but he doesn't bend the edge. And the Niners' backup edge rushers are lacking. And now Randy Gregory has been released by the Denver Broncos. Broncos signed him to a 5-year, $70 million contract, and they released him on Wednesday morning. He had seen his playing time reduced. He lost his starting job. He met with the coaching staff, and both sides agreed it was time for Gregory to move on. So he was coming off an injury. He needed surgery when Denver signed him. And if you go down the game log, he just never got any playing time. He's never played more than 14 games. He was limited to 33 snaps last week, although he did have a quarterback hit. Gregory had not played more than 65% of the Broncos' snaps in any game this year. He only appeared in 6 games last year. He suffered a knee injury in week 4. Between injuries and violations of the league rules, we've yet to see Gregory really play a full season. Now, how bad is this need for the Niners? Well, Drake Jackson got off to a great start. He had 3 sacks in week 1, but 9 of his 11 pressures came in the first 2 games, and he's been quiet ever since. Cleveland Farrell was a guy that they really talked about in the offseason. Everybody talked him up. He was pretty decent in the preseason. He's been shut out as a pass rusher for the past 2 weeks. Kerry Hyder is a great veteran, locker room leader, but he doesn't give you a lot of edge rush. So the question is, do you go for Randy Gregory? You know, Randy Gregory has got some baggage. Now, he was suspended for 14 games in 2016 for violating the NFL substance abuse policy. He was suspended for the entire 2017 season and then 2 games in 2018 and the full 2019 season for multiple violations. So the guy's had problems. Plus, the first 6 games of 2020, he was also suspended. So that's really the reason why he's never played a full season. He's a talented guy. I think everybody can understand that going back to college. He was a great collegiate player, very productive. This guy's a productive pass rusher. This guy can get it done. The question is, do you want him in your locker room? And since Gregory is a vested veteran, Denver's on the hook for his contract. He's free to sign with any team. So if the Niners sign him to a 1-year prove-it deal that's heavily incentivized, they could easily do this on the cap. It's not like, oh, well, they can't make it work on the cap. They can't. The Niners have over $41 million in cap space, so money is not an issue. And as I just said, if they can give him an incentive-laden kind of a deal, maybe he's a guy that they should look at. You know, the thing about it is he's a very consistent pass rusher. If you're looking for a pass rush, Gregory will provide that. If you just look at pressure percentage for the past 3 seasons, Randy Gregory has been north of 15%. So he's got this year in 73 pass rush snaps, Gregory has 4 quarterback hits. What makes this a need is that, Drake Jackson, Cleveland Farrell, and Kerry Hyder have only 8 combined quarterback hits in 4 games in 243 pass rush snaps. So I'm going to have to ask Steve Wilkes about this today. Do you guys need to look for additional upgrades at defensive end? And is Randy Gregory, a guy that they would look at? Now, locker room, how you are in the locker room matters to the Niners. They don't want to just add anybody to the room. I think at defensive end that it's such a premium position that you maybe would be willing to take a shot on some guys who have maybe a little bit more of a checkered past than at other spots on your team. Going way, way back, way, way back. I mean, the Niners, gave guys like Tim Harris a shot and benefited from having veterans like that off the edge. So, as much as Gregory runs a little hot, as much as he's had problems off the field, as long as the 49ers could give him an incentive laden deal and not be on the hook for some enormous amount of money that that they don't want to, they're not going to have to do what the Broncos did. They don't have to pay Randy Gregory huge money. They could probably get him on an incentive laden deal. Then you look at he's got other options. Where would you rather be? You want to play opposite Nick Bosa on a team that's favored to win the Super Bowl, or you want to play somewhere else? I don't think it's going to be that hard to convince Randy Gregory that the Niners are a great spot for him. And the only question is, how concerned are the 49ers about him and adding his presence to the room? The substance abuse problems he's had. I don't know what substances we're talking about. I know that he's an undisciplined player who jumps off sides, and I don't know that Chris Kocurek or Kyle Shanahan or John Lynch or Adam Peters want to take on that kind of a player. But maybe in the Niners system, maybe he'd be a little bit more focused. Chris Kocurek has turned far lesser players into far greater pass rushers and contributors. Maybe he could get to Randy Gregory. The one thing I could say is I would do this, and here's why I would do it. Because Randy Gregory by himself is not going to roll into the room and ruin the Niner culture. He just can't. They won't allow it to happen. He's not that kind of a presence. He's not going to be able to walk in and poison the entire room. To me, it sends a loud message that you're willing to do whatever it takes to win the Super Bowl, which is a great message to send to your locker room, and I think a great message to send to your fans. Now, it's possible Gregory has more problems in the future, and guess what? You cut him. At that point, you cut him. But when you look at the fact that he's got 4 quarterback hits and 73 pass rush snaps, and the trio of Jackson, Farrell, and Hyder have 8 quarterback hits in 243 pass rush snaps, I don't think you need to analyze it any more than that. I'd get Randy Gregory in here. I'd get him a uniform and sign him up and see if he can help. And if he can, great. And if he can't, there you go. I wouldn't be concerned. But to me, it's low risk, high reward, and it's something that I would absolutely do. Low risk, high reward maneuvers for a Super Bowl champion type team like the Niners have this year are risks worth taking. And as I said, if I thought Randy Gregory could ruin their culture, ruin their locker room, I'd say don't do it. I don't think he can, so I would do it. I absolutely would do it. And I think it's smart to add a pass rusher of this caliber to your room. All right, thanks to Mojo Fantasy for sponsoring our show. And, of course, go make sure you use that link in the description and use the promo code KRUEG, KRUEG, at Mojo Fantasy to get your first deposit matched up to $100. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.